You did your research and you settled on Ubuntu. You installed it or got a new PC with it pre-installed, but you want a quick crash course on how to operate it daily without messing anything up. Today you'll learn everything you need to know about using Ubuntu 26.04 LTS, and towards the end of the video we'll also see some additional enhancements to make your experience much better. Ubuntu 26.04 uses a desktop environment called GNOME. Ubuntu's implementation of GNOME is custom made to look this way. Our taskbar is on the left hand side of the screen, and the top has an information panel with the date and time and a control panel menu. If we click on the control panel, we can see options to switch off or lock our computer. We also have shortcuts for going to the settings menu and taking screenshots or video casts. We also have the volume settings, and if we click on the arrows, we can select the default output and input device. We have some additional feature toggles for Bluetooth, nightlight, dark mode, and do not disturb modes. The left hand side taskbar is where we can pin our favorite applications and launch them. We can also browse our installed applications clicking on the Ubuntu logo. If you want to pin apps, all you have to do is right click on the application and click on Pin to Dock. You can also just drag them onto the bar. If you are running an application, you will see its icon on the taskbar, and you can also right click it here and pin it. If you minimize an application, you can restore it back by clicking on its icon. As you can see, very Windows-like. Talking about Windows-like, if you are bothered by having the taskbar on the left, we can change it to be at the bottom if you so wish. We head to the control menu pill, click on the cogwheel for settings, and in this new window we look for Ubuntu Appearance. Here we can customize the interface elements on the screen. We can change where the taskbar lives and even turn it into a dock like on Mac OS. This is where you fidget with all these customization preferences. One final thing to comment is the existence of workspaces. If you click on the pills on the top left side or press the Windows or Meta key on our keyboard, you'll get the overview. This is a mode where you can move windows into different virtual desktops. You can have the web browser full screen on one, and then a writing application on the second virtual desktop, and it helps with productivity, instead of having everything open on one single screen. You can switch between desktops by hovering over the pills and using your mouse wheel, or if you're on a laptop, you can use 3-finger swipes left or right to change. If you prefer keyboard shortcuts, you can press the Windows key plus Alt plus left or right arrow keys to move between desktops. If you 3-finger swipe up on a laptop touchpad, you also get the overview. How to install, update, and uninstall software. If you come from Windows, you would have probably installed software by running .exe files or through the Windows Store. Ubuntu works quite similar, but with different words. On Ubuntu, we have the App Center, which uses applications called snap packages, and you can also install applications with files ending in .deb installers. These are the officially supported ways to install applications on Ubuntu, and it's mainly up to you how you want to get your software. Generally, I recommend searching for the applications you need using the App Center, and if it's not there, you can go to the application's official website to see if they offer a .deb file. Installing software on the App Center is just a matter of searching an app and pressing install. That's it. When it comes to the .deb, you need to search the official website. In this case, I recommend installing something like Steam as a .deb package specifically. Valve themselves say that the App Center version is quite buggy, especially if you want to do manual modding or use third-party applications and tools which need standard paths to Steam games. It might be better to just use the .deb. So we head over to Steam's website, and it automatically recognizes our operating system as Ubuntu and gives us the .deb download. Once downloaded, open your file manager, go to Downloads and double-click on the steam.deb package. You want to make sure we launch the App Center, which also handles the installation of these external files. We click on Install, and this should trigger the Steam setup process, which involves pressing Enter inside a mini terminal several times, kind of like clicking Next on a Windows installer. Once done, you'll be greeted with the login screen. Updating software is also handled through the App Store. We just go to the Update section and it will list which applications have new versions available. You can update anytime, but I do recommend you do so when you can to get all the latest security and feature patches, unless you have a very good reason to stay on an older version. If we need to uninstall software, you can do so also through the App Center. Here in the Installed Applications tab, you'll be able to see all the snap packages and even .deb applications installed. You can click on one and just uninstall. During Ubuntu's installation, you probably got this question to download multimedia codecs and proprietary software. I recommend you tick both boxes because this ensures you get all the video codecs to display video, and if you are using an Nvidia GPU, it will also install the proper drivers for it. If you skip this for some reason, you can still download proprietary drivers with the installed system. To do so, you can always open a terminal and type sudo ubuntu-drivers install, and it should walk you through if anything is missing, recommending the ideal drivers for you. Now, for the most part, Ubuntu and Linux in general already include a large part of the hardware drivers, but there are some specific devices which can need proprietary or even special firmware drivers to work properly. You can come to this application called Firmware, which delivers firmware updates for your hardware. You'll be able to see individual components of your system, and if there is any update, you will see a green mark. If we click on the component, you'll be able to see which version it is updating to, and you can confirm the installation. And if you want to make sure that you're running the latest updates and patches for your whole system, you can come to this application, Software Updates, to check if Ubuntu has detected any additional software. It updates all your system packages and snap-deb applications, so you can open this regularly to see if you have additional security or feature patches to install. Explore the system settings. If you remember the cogwheel icon in the control menu, you'll access the system settings. Here you can find settings for your screen, power options, users, and everything you might need to configure your Ubuntu system. I recommend you go clicking on every option and seeing if you would like to adjust anything to your preference here. An option I like to disable is the mouse acceleration under mouse settings. I personally don't like this. It makes your mouse less accurate overall. It is useful if you have a small surface to move your mouse on, but it's not my case. You can try it out. Also in the display settings, you can set your screen resolution, scaling, and turn on HDR if your screen supports it. Auto-mounting drives for Steam libraries or asset folders. If you have other internal hard drives attached to your computer, such as HDDs or SSDs, Ubuntu and Linux in general mount them on demand. That is, the system opens those drives when you try to access them. Applications such as Steam or GIMP, Critter, Blender can access the drives and the potential libraries you have there. In the case of Steam, that would be video games on that separate drive, and in the case of creative software, your different assets. If you want the drives to be mounted all the time from the moment you turn on your system so that applications can access the files there without you mounting the drives manually, you can do so with the Disks application. Just open it and you'll see the attached drives. Select the drive you want to auto-mount on boot, click on this cogwheel, edit mount options, and toggle off the system defaults. Make sure that Mount at System Startup is checked and click OK. Input your password and done. That drive will auto-mount on your next boot, so restart the computer now if you want it to take effect immediately. Please be aware that for Steam specifically, you really want to format the drive to a Linux-compatible format such as ext4. NTFS is a Microsoft format and presents compatibility problems with Linux, so if your games are on an NTFS drive, you would have to reformat it and re-download your games on Steam. Just remember that formatting a drive wipes the drive clean, so make sure you don't have anything important there. Backups. A useful thing you should set up early on is recurring backups of your important files. You can come into the Applications menu, and in System you can find Backups. Here you can configure where you want to store your backup, which could be using Google Drive or any other cloud service using rclone, and even locally. Just remember that local backups are less useful, since if you really lose access to your data or system, you would also lose the backup. You can also tell the application which folders to include in the backup and which ones to exclude. By default, it includes the whole home user folder where your videos, documents, music, and user settings live. It does exclude downloads, since normally those are temporary files we keep there, but you can change all of these, of course. You can then set up the frequency of the backup, and it should run automatically without any further input from you. Beautiful. The application is called Dejadup, by the way, if you want to use it on other distributions. Ubuntu Pro. When you install Ubuntu 26.04, you get 5 years of security updates included as standard, which takes you all the way to April 2031. That is already a very long time, and for most people, it is more than enough. But Canonical, the company behind Ubuntu, offers something called Ubuntu Pro, which doubles that to 10 full years of security coverage, all the way to 2036. Enabling Ubuntu Pro gives you extended security and maintenance updates. It is worth noting that this is not about new features or newer versions of software. It is specifically about keeping your system patched and secure for longer. Ubuntu Pro is completely free for personal use on up to 5 machines. Now, it is completely optional, mind you, and most users on a standard 5-year support window will not feel the difference day to day, but it's still worth enabling for the long-term peace of mind, especially since it is free. You can visit ubuntu.com/pro because it involves creating a Canonical account, but the website does explain the process very well. Extra features. At this point, you should have everything you need to confidently pilot your new Ubuntu system, but there are some additional actions you can do which can improve your quality of life using the system every day. One of these is installing the Ubuntu Restricted Extras package, which includes some additional multimedia codecs and Microsoft fonts like Arial and Times New Roman. If you need these, open a terminal and type sudo apt install Ubuntu-restricted-extras. You should get this screen where you can select OK by using the Tab key on your keyboard and then accepting the end-user license agreement using the arrow keys and pressing Enter. Now you should have the Microsoft fonts available system-wide on any application you use. Another thing you can do if you want even more application variety is to install Flatpak and use the Flathub Store. This is a separate application store which uses another packaging format called Flatpak, which offers many more applications. To install this, we open our web browser and head over to flathub.org, and you can preview what applications are available here. If you want to install the store on your system, go to Setup Flathub, choose Ubuntu as your operating system, and follow the instructions here. It involves just copy-pasting 3 commands into the terminal, and after a reboot, you should now have this new software store with Flatpak applications. With snaps, DEB packages, and Flatpaks, you should have almost every application you might need on Ubuntu. One final thing you might want to do is to install desktop extensions. These little plugins add more functionality to your desktop. We just need an application that can manage these extensions. On Ubuntu, we can install the extension manager using a terminal and typing sudo apt install gnome-shell-extension-manager. This will add a new application called Extension Manager, and we can see what extensions we already have installed with Ubuntu and turn them on or off. If we go to Browse, we can search for additional extensions. I really like the Blur My Shell extension, which adds this beautiful glass effect to the interface. Another of my favorites is Caffeine, which blocks screen dimming for a set amount of time or indefinitely. It's really handy. Hopefully this has been a clarifying guide to Ubuntu 26.04 LTS, and it will help you know how to move around, use and maintain your system. Now, overall, Ubuntu is quite an easy distribution to use, but you must always remember that with great power comes great responsibility.